Hi there, it's Sally from Rickety Snippets here, and today I've got a vintage Valentine folio to show you, or two actually. So I've already made this one up, so they're the same design, but they've got different images and different colours. So this is a red one that I've already made, and I'll show you a bit. So it's got a lovely big heart pocket in the middle here, and all these little dangly bits, which I'm really enjoying, and bows and bits of ephemera in the pockets there, and then this fancy closure on the front, holding it together, love heart, and in the back it's got a big kind of envelope there, so you open up that flap, and inside there's some more ephemera in a little pocket there, and then also some more bits in here. So that's the red one. And today I'm going to show you how to put together the blue one. So as I say, the design is the same, but the images are different. So you can make them both if you want to. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to grab the pieces for the flap. So we want this piece and this piece, and also this, because that's going to be a pocket on the inside flap. So make a bit of space here. And then I'm just going to stick these two together first of all, so back to back. So some glue on there. There we are, so I've gone really close to the edge there, so that get a really nice join between these two. Stick those together. That's it. And then I think I'll stick the pocket on now, just because I want this to be really well stuck if I stick it to the main folio. So line it up. So I just want a bit of glue along this kind of curved side, all the way along, and then along the top as well. And stick that down. We go. And now before I stick this down, I'm just going to make some score lines along the top here. So we want two score lines. Probably should have done this before I put the pocket on, but never mind. I think it'll be fine. So one here and one here. And then I'm just going to pull up into the ruler to create that fold. Like that. So you've created a kind of little gutter there. And then I'm going to go grab these two pieces, and I want the outside piece. So this is the inside, this is the outside, and I want to make sure it's up the right way. So that's the right way. So and this pocket is going to sit like this on top of this piece. So we want a bit of glue on the flap here, just up to that first line. And then I'm going to put it so it's really well placed between these two inner lines here. And then I'm going to flip the whole thing over and put glue all over the back of here. So again, glue right up to that first line, and quite a bit of glue over that flap, and then all the way around the edge and all over the back of this piece. And then I'm just going to line those two pieces up and stick that down. So that's the folio stuck together. Now we need to make some score lines to fold this piece. So from this side, with the kind of wings of the heart here, I'm just going to make score lines along to create gutters here. So we've got 2 lines to score here and 2 lines to score here. There we go. So those two fold over each other like that, and they should line up in the middle there. I need to trim a little bit off of there. As usual, I've forgotten to say where you can get the, the printables for this, and also what I've card that I've printed onto. So all the printables are available from the Rickety Snippets shop. So the blue and the red kit. And I printed onto 160 GSM cardstock, so printed everything onto that. And there we are, lining up. So you want to kind of just pull on those kind of spines just to make sure they're lined up, and then you should get a nice heart that meets in the middle there. There we go. And we need closure for that. So I'm going to grab this big heart, and that's going to go on the front like that. And I'm just going to put a very faint line down the centre of the heart. Like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be faint because you won't see it, but I'll do it a bit stronger because you won't be able to see it on the film. There we are. And so we just want glue on this side. So I'm going to put some glue along, but not right up to the line. So probably within like 1/2 centimetre, or maybe a little bit nearer than that, but under there, you can see that, on this side. And then I'm going to line it up here. So the point is kind of sitting on this edge, or the edge of the other flap, like that. And stick that down. If you want to, if you think this is going to get a lot of use, you might want to put 2 layers of card, or print it onto a thicker piece of card, this heart. But I think the 160 GSM's actually fine for a bit of casual use. There we are. So that's the front. And then what should we do next? We'll come back to inside because there's more going on in there. And I'm going to put the pocket on this bit. So we have this heart piece. So again, I'm going to score along the edges of these flaps. Yeah, we just folded those inwards, and I'm going to put some glue all over the tabs. And that's just going to sit at the bottom there, on that back cover. And then we can put some bits in here. So let's have a look. We've got cherubs and some lovebirds and cupids and all sorts, and then some bits of kind of like a perfume bottle label and a receipt for some Valentine luxuries there. I do like this mermaid. And we've also got some hearts and some butterflies as well. So, what do we want in there? Maybe a cupid. Like the lovebirds. Mermaid. Anyway, put some of those bits in there. I'll always come back to that. And then we need a closure. So I'm just actually going to trim that flap a little bit. There's quite a bit of overlap there. Yeah, and then we have a smaller heart to go there. So again, I'm just going to put a bit of glue at the bottom of that heart. And then line it up with the flap like that, so I know where the glue is. Again, leaving kind of 1/2 centimetre-ish, I think that is. And just stick it down on this bit. Once you've done that, you can take that away. And line it up a little bit better. That's it. And then, so once that's dry, that's going to act as a nice kind of closure for that piece on the back. So we'll leave that to dry a little bit. So inside, we've got some lots of pockets to go on. So we've got a big pocket in the middle, so this one. So we just need some glue along the edges and the bottom of that one. Yeah, so that looks rather beautiful, I think. Oh, it would look great in there. Let's see. Maybe some cherubs. Maybe too hearty for a mermaid. It's quite nice poking out of there. Or you could just have some text. That would balance things out a little bit. Have the mermaid. Let's go there. Tuck those in. I haven't really allowed that to dry enough yet. That's something to kind of surprise someone when they open it up. That lovely pocket in the middle. And then along this edge, I'm going to put these three. So these are going to be, well, this piece, which is going to be 3 pockets. So I'm going to put some glue. So I want the glue along this edge. So top and bottom. And along this edge. And that's the bottom. And then I'm going to hold it up to the light and see where these bits are. So the breaks. And just put a little bit of glue on there. So you could make your life a bit easier for yourself and actually mark those with a pencil. And then I'm just going to stick that the right way up. So we've got the glue on this edge. Okay, now while that's drying, I'm going to put together some pieces to go in these pockets. So I have these pieces for, should be 3 of those. Where's the other one gone? 3 of these, and then also some little tags. So there are 6 of these kind of smaller little tags and labels. So you can use them anywhere. And some of them say things like Valentine and the date. So the 14th of February. But there are also some others. So they're kind of more general, like my love and only you. So you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a Valentine's kit if you don't want it to be. Just a folio for someone you love. So I'm going to start with these. So I'm going to punch holes. Oh, I also wanted these pieces. So there's 3 of those. And some little hearts. So there's 3 of those as well. And I'm going to punch holes in all of these. So we've got some kind of tags hanging off of our ephemera pieces. So these are going to tuck inside. So I'm just going to put a hole in the corner there of each of these 3, sorry. I can't find my eyelets, but you could put an eyelet on there as well. And then I'm also going to punch holes in some of these. So I quite like the idea of having that one on these pockets, and then perhaps with a bow or something there. I'll think about that in a minute. And then so I just want 3 of these as a kind of a dangle on there. I think maybe those 3. Or that one. I'll try them anyway. So these ones, I'm also going to put a punch a hole in the corner of each of those. And in my little tags, I'm quite small, so I might just have that in hole in the center at the top. Oh, almost went through the 14 on that one. So they could be in the side or in the centre, it doesn't really matter. And finally, I'm going to put some holes in these little hearts, so just over to one side. And then I'm going to make a little cluster of these things to attach to each one of these. So I've got some bulb pins, and I'm just going to open those up. So you could do this with a bit of thread or something if you haven't got any bulb pins. But I'm going to start with one of the hearts, and then one of the little tags, and then one of these at the back. And then I'm just going to attach that to one of the square ephemera pieces, like that. There we go. So I'm going to do that for each of these. We are. So once I've done that, I'm going to put them in these pockets, but I'm just going to get my awl, just run that inside each of these pockets just to make sure they're easy to get into. And then I'm going to slip those into the pockets. I'm going to have the two darker hearts, one at the top and one at the bottom of this one. And then this white one in the middle. There we are. So I love these little dangly bits. And then so in the middle here, I'm just going to stick that on there, I think, and have the bow on there as well. So let's stick the bow on first. And I'm only going to put glue at the top there so we can have these bits kind of hanging loosely on there. And then that's a Valentine there, should be straight. Go it on a slope. We are, so that's the inside, and then we need to go back to the back because I realise I've not done anything with the pocket on the back. So this pocket at the top, I'm also going to put a bow on there. I've got some other bits of ephemera that could go on there, that could go there, or just a little bit. Or another saying, perhaps. Like that one. Let's do that. So again, I'm going to just leave the kind of ends of the bow hanging freely. Put a bit of ink around those edges just to define that a little bit more. Yeah, we've got this piece still. It can go in there. Little love note at the top there. So yeah, so I can move some of this ephemera about, but I'll leave you to play. So I'm just going to tuck that under here. That's the back of the folio, and that's the front. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. I think I probably would put this on a stiffer bit of card. I did do that for that one. I think that would pay off. So this one, I just doubled the card, so put a bit before I cut it behind it, and then cut the two together. So you've got a nice thick bit of card there. This one does feel a bit flimsy, so top tip. So I really hope you enjoy these, have fun with them. Next week I'm going to continue with my Dragon Junk journal, and I'm going to make a kind of concertina pocket between two of the pages. So once that's live, I'll put a link to it on the screen, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.